In this video, we'll show you what it takes to reach 1500 ELO in chess. 6 exciting games with some brilliant moves, crushing attacks, and some beautiful checkmates. Let's go. First game, we have the CaroKann. Every time you have an opportunity, you place 2 pawns in the middle of the board. This opening has the idea to fight for the center, and now we have basically 3 options with white. 1, take this pawn, 2, push, 3, protect it with the knight. I love in general to not be the first one to trade, but to let them come to me, trade, and then I'm going to have a very strong knight in the center. Now usually black is attacking this knight with a development move, either knight f6 or bishop f5. They have some preparation. I'm going to take here. How do we develop all my pieces? It's very important to notice that this bishop will have to stay here. But we have a problem. If we go with the bishop there, this pawn is hanging. If we go with the knight here out, we might get pinned. That's why actually the best move is c3 in this position. There is a very clear purpose to place the bishop on d3. That's why in general, I always like to say, in chess, you have to follow opening principles unless you have a very clear reason not to do so. And c3 had the purpose here. Now, check. We could defend with the bishop or with the knight. If we go with the bishop, there is bishop f4, and we might be in trouble. That's why knight e2 is the main move here. Now there is a pawn hanging, attacked by the bishop and the queen, so probably h6 or g6 needs to be played. And now we are getting close to the middle game, because what is left to complete the development, to get a good position out of the opening? Well, to develop this bishop and then to castle. Short or long? Okay, g6 creates exactly a breakthrough point for me after h4, h5. So I will keep going with bishop e3 followed by long castle. Bishop g4 is attacking my knight, but this is protected by the bishop, by the queen, so we can safely go for long castle. And now it's time to go. Start an attack. Black will have to do the same. b5, b4, queen a5. This bishop is usually well placed on e6 actually, because it's attacking directly the king. Now this is also a little bit slow. I will play first h3, because if I play h4 directly, maybe h5 is not really a threat. Maybe it is, because after bishop takes, I can simply sacrifice my rook. Now is this pawn hanging? Not really, because I have the pawn push on b3, the bishop is trapped. If bishop a3 check, bishop a3 check, the king is hiding on d2, and then this bishop is actually gonna be lost. All right, so we keep going with our plan. Very important to know that usually the side pawns a and b are poison pawns. So sometimes you can capture them, but you need to be extremely sure that with whatever piece you capture, you can come back. In this case, the bishop will not come back. All right. We keep going. We are almost checkmating here. Now we are ready to sacrifice everything. The bishop, the queen, the rook. No, I'm kidding. We just sacrifice the bishop probably, if we can. Now we want to take this, take there. Okay, f5 makes sense, blocking the queen and the bishop. So how do we pull it through? g4. Sacrificing a pawn. Why not? Because we want to take on g6 absolutely, and if they don't do anything, we're gonna take here, and then the g file is going to be open anyway. Don't forget, the plan when there are opposite side castling is to open up files and give checkmate. Now, I could simply move my bishop back. There is a bishop under attack, so I move my bishop back, but I need to evaluate this move. But after pawn takes, if I take here, the king is hiding. I don't see a checkmate, and it's very important, once you sacrifice a piece, you cannot go back and say like, oh, sorry, it didn't work, my attack. So you have to calculate and be sure. I think it's not safe enough, honestly, so I think I won't take, especially because if I simply move back my bishop, I still have all the threats going on. So I can still take here, and the files are going to be opened anyway. Now, bishop takes is interesting because this bishop is actually under attack right now. I could again move the rook and protect it, or I could just take here and try to checkmate my opponent again. There is a very important difference, is that once I take on f7, there is no bishop taking. So either the queen or the king has to take. So let's say I take here, bishop takes, I take here, queen takes, I take here, king f... Well, there is also actually rook g1 check. which is very strong. I think we go for this. Let's go. Now, bishop takes. We take on f7. If the king takes, I'm taking back with the rook, winning the queen back. That's enough calculation. But after queen takes, what I said is that I could give a check. The king moves and take with the rook. This is what I calculated. Now, I didn't find the sequence until the checkmate, but it was good enough to go for it. Okay, they just took back, didn't really take here. Now I could take there. If they take, I take back, queen here, I take the rook, winning a piece. So the only move that makes sense is actually rook takes. Then I take here with check. The king has to move here, only square. And then I love queen g6, threatening this move, threatening the bishop. What about bishop e6? This is very interesting. Okay, I might just play rook g1, leaving a piece hanging, but my sacrifice later on is very, very strong. So after bishop here, I just want to take there. If pawn takes, I take with the queen and I'm checkmating. So they need to move the rook away, but then we have mainly discovery checks. So let's say rook e7. Well, I can take here with check. Okay, we're going for it, guys. This is a very critical line. Either we have mate or we're lost. I think we give checkmate. Maybe. As expected, protecting the rook, protecting this pawn. But now I can take here, discovery check. And if the king is moving there, I just have mate. And now I think I have mate anyway. Rook, g8. The king has to go up only square. And then we slide the queen all the way. And that's kiss of death. GG's. Yay, there is a brilliant move, guys.
Your bishop. A stunning move.
Yay! So the sacrifice made sense. But don't forget, when you sacrifice a piece, you gotta calculate and be sure. Next game. So we are black and against e4. I love e5, I love c5. Let's try the Sicilian, which is a very aggressive opening. Let's go also with d6. They're going for the open Sicilian, which is the main line of any Sicilian. What is the idea? With the move c5, I wanted to trade my side pawn for a central pawn. Now I have two pawns that potentially could take control over the center and give me an advantage. But it's not super easy because right now it's white that has more control over the center thanks to the e4 pawn. I need to develop my pieces, but my long-term plan is to play for the move e5. So I will also play the move e6 here and then develop all my pieces. Okay, this check is usually not typical because white shouldn't trade this bishop. I will go with the knight on d7, which is a possible way to develop this knight. This knight could go both on d7 or on c6 on the Sicilian. Bishop e7 is a very normal move. I'm pinning this bishop and also ready to castle. And usually the bishop on b5 especially is not amazing because after the move a6, the bishop has to go back. And so it just gave me a tempo because how am I going to develop this other bishop? Well, I need to push the b pawn. But attention, if I push the b pawn, there is knight c6. That's why in the Sicilian it's very typical to place the queen on c7. We are exploiting that this semi-open file is semi-open. The queen is also controlling the square on e5, which is something that we always need to take care of, because if we want to play d5 successfully, we need to make sure that the move e5 is not possible. Because the idea of d5 is to trade off the central pawn and to be the only one left with a pawn in the center of the board. If d5 works successfully, black has at least an equal position, maybe even better. So now we need to complete the development, and we will do it by pushing b5, bishop b7, and castle. Where is white going to castle? Well, they play f4 and they don't decide it yet, so we are going to do the same. We play b5 and we don't decide yet where to castle. The queen is looking at the rook, which is unprotected. If I would just castle, now e5 could be a very dangerous move for me. But I will play just bishop b7, saying hello to the queen. They are taking. This is very interesting. Now we could take with the knight, we could take with the bishop. The two moves that I need to calculate are f5 and e5. What? Okay, actually they resigned in this position. It was a little bit too early, but because probably the best move here is to just take with the bishop. I'm attacking this knight has to move, and this one behind is hanging. The only way to keep it protected is to actually go on e2 in order not to lose million of material, but b4 super strong. The knight has to go back home. Well, if the knight goes back home, actually they lose the rook because the bishop is taking and the rook is dropped. So actually knight d1 is the move that needs to be played here. And honestly, I don't have any material advantage, but this position is way better for me. I can simply castle, go with knight on c5, bring the rooks on the open, semi-open file, c and d, maybe keep pushing this pawn, expanding on the queen side. This is just a better position for black. A bit too early to resign. New game, we have again the move e4, and this time I go for the move e5, because I want to just change openings and show that the important is to get a good position and learn how to develop in any opening. So we are in the Ruy Lopez. The idea is that the knight is attacking this pawn, which is protected by this other knight, and the bishop is now attacking the defensor. In this case, we can just ignore it. And the reason is that even if white is training here, we can just take back with this pawn, and after knight goes there, we will go with the queen on d4, attacking the knight. Ooh, we might see that. Ooh. Yeah, this is why it's very important to understand the ideas, because this is a very typical way to defend. We are attacking now this knight, this pawn, and this other pawn. And there is just one defense, huh? Which is not this one. The only defense would have been knight d3, protecting the knight and the mate, because now we can simply take the knight, and if they take... Well, I thought that this would be checkmate. Okay, we just won a pawn, actually. Not that incredible. Okay, we just developed this knight, we are attacking the queen, and now poison pawns. We saw this already in the first game. What about g7? Would you take it or not? And the answer here is a very loud no. It's poison, do not touch that pawn. Because after queen here, usually the way that black or white gets counterplay is by placing the rook on the same file, attacking the queen, and then winning the pawn behind. And if we win the pawn behind, we are just one move from giving checkmate. So trading those two pawns activates my rook for free. So white shouldn't do that. This is a way better move, trying to trade off the queens. I actually like this move a lot. The king is not castled, so trading the queens is the right call here. Question, would you trade the queens, yes or no? And I think the answer is me, because there is nothing really bad with trading the queens for black. But this king cannot be castled, so I would prefer to keep the queen if possible. So first move that comes to mind is to just move my queen back here. One more move that I would like to consider is the move long castle, because after the queen trades, actually this pawn is hanging. And if they protect it with the pawn, I can just take it because the rook is pinning the pawn. But I noticed that after long castle, trade, they can just protect it with the knight. Actually, we can play then the other rook here. And how do you protect that pawn? So I will go for this just because I see that I will win a pawn. There is not really an efficient way to protect that pawn. Yeah, because now we take, after knight here, we play rook here, and after king e2... Oh, this is smart. Or maybe not, because actually after this, I thought like, okay, d3 attacking the knight, we have to move and we lose the bishop. But after d3, the knight is not at all under attack. So now, we might just retreat the bishop back, but then we lose this pawn. What else could we play? We could play f6. But after f6, just protecting this pawn, then maybe king e2 is a problem. Then the knight is under attack, the bishop is under attack, so let's not be greedy. And let's just go back with the bishop. If they take this pawn, I have different ideas. Okay. Probably check could have been a good idea. And then just give a check with the other rook. Try to imagine this. Rook takes, check, the king moves. We give a check with the other rook, the king moves. And then maybe knight g4, attacking this pawn. And it's not so... Actually, we were threatening mate. That would have been super cool. Okay, knight d2 is played. Now we can simply trade off and we will have an extra pawn. How to convert with an extra pawn? It's not super simple, to be fair. Rules of endgames. You have to remember these 3 rules. Active king, active pieces, push your passed pawns. So why active king? Because in the endgame, the king can no longer be checkmated. So you can use it as a good piece. Now, right now, if we go with the king towards the center, we are not achieving much because there are still 2 rooks that will be able to check the king and send it back. So we need just to prepare the king to join the party. And already here the king is kind of close. But we might also be able to maybe push it one square forward and get ready. One very important move is definitely to try to double up the rooks on the open file. White is doing a very good job, and now we just bring the 2 rooks, and maybe at some point also king on d7 can be a good idea. All right, trading. They might place also this other rook here. Okay, don't place the rook. So in this case, active king, we bring the king one step closer to the action, is a very sensible move. The rook is very active. The bishop is honestly doing quite well on this file. So what do we do now? And probably we should try to create a pass pawn on this side where we have 3 versus 2. But we need to be smart to do that. Because if we play a6 with the idea of g5, they will play this move and block us forever. Probably we want to first push g6. But if we push g6, we are weakening this pawn. So I will play first the move rook e6, protecting this pawn. And I'm ready to push probably g6. One other idea could be to actually reroute this bishop towards a better diagonal. For example, bishop here and bishop there. Okay, I'm considering bishop f2. But if I play bishop here now after the trade, this pawn will be unprotected, so I cannot. So I think I will trade the rooks. I have to, and then try to play with this bishop. Pawn endgame should be winning for me. I'm thinking if I should go here or there. After c3 this, bishop takes, pawn takes. How is this pawn endgame? Well, to be fair, it should be winning. So let's go for it. Bishop d5, because this we get everything with tempo. And after bishop here, so we need to be sure that the pawn endgame is winning. This, that. And then we bring the king like this. King will wait us here. And then we need to slowly expand there. Okay, this pawn endgame should be winning. The only problem for us is that we don't have an healthy pawn structure. So this could be the only disadvantage for us. Okay, king e6, very important, active king, now more than ever. We don't want the king to get there, so I'm just thinking which direction should we choose, and probably this one is the right direction. And now we play the move h5, so we are stopping this check. Now, if white is moving this king away, we are just gonna be Pac-Man with our king and then promote one pawn. What they can do right now is to just try to push those pawns. But at some point, all the pawns will be blocked, and so they will have to move the king. I have an extra tempo here that I can push at any point, but I will wait for that. I will just... Should I go for this, actually? I will go for this. Because as soon as the pawns are getting blocked, then the king has to move, and I will go on with my plan. Well, let's play c6, just protecting this pawn. If I can trade my double pawns, I'm for sure winning. Yeah, this is a great idea. I will defend it one more time. Okay, and now the pawns are getting blocked. So the king has to move, but then I'm getting in. There we go. Yeah, this is kind of annoying actually, because if I go there... Okay, so this... Now the king can stay there. I will play this move still. Now the king has to stay there. And now I think this move is the one that lets me in. Because now I can threaten to go take other pawns. Okay, they're taking this. So I think I have to go back. Pawn endgames are very tricky. But it should be good. Maybe. Because I will have now after trade, king goes here. I go to take this pawn and then king here. They might just block my king out. You know that it could be stalemate. Ay, ay, ay. It could really be stalemate. Okay, I'll go here. And now, if I take, I think this is a draw. So I will play this move. To see if they... Oh! And now maybe we win. Maybe now we win. Because we are faster. Yes! That was a mistake, but a tricky one. They can push this pawn. They will get with the pawn there once I'm promoted. Still not super simple to win this, but very informative in a way. Okay, they want to take all the pawns. Not simple to win this as well, because these 4 pawns, if I don't manage to capture them, okay, this is a mistake because now I can protect this one, I think, and bring the king. This, that, this, that, this, and I'm winning. So we just bring the king. Boom. Boom. And now this is mate, almost. The most important thing is really just to take the pawns that are advancing. And this one is falling now because after check, king here, I take the heir and then checkmate is coming. Okay, we take this one. Okay, we give this check as well. And this is an easy win now. We block also this other pawn. The king cannot advance. Everything is restricted. The king is taking care of this one. We take it. Go with the king. Check. Take. I think I practice how to checkmate with the king and the queen. GG's. Quick analysis. When I said that maybe this will be a stalemate, I was drunk probably. Because here I can simply take. And I thought like just to show you what is the stalemate idea. Yeah, here now it's stalemate. Because the king can just go up and down. And here I can't move anything. It's stalemate. My pawns are blocked, I can't make progress. But if the pawn is still so far, so back behind, the only thing I need to do is here to play this move. And now if the king goes up, I go out here, and this is completely winning. So king f2. In this case, I can also go out of the pawn way. And basically this pawn is just gonna be used like a distraction. The king needs to stay around this pawn. And so this king is gonna be Pac-Man, take all the rest of the friends, and then we win. New game, we have the white pieces. Let's try to change up the things a little bit. By the way, my opponents are playing really well. Chapeau to them. Like this. But like this, you cannot say that my 1500 are weaker than your 1500. They're good. They're playing well. So we develop everything according to the plan. Also, c3. We'll go with the knight there. Okay. Let's play bishop here. I don't want to easily give away my bishop, so create more weaknesses. Yep, and now I go back. Because now if you take, I take back with a pawn, and already this is weak. If you push, I come here with a check. And then the king can no longer castle. This move, leaves so many weak things. Knight on e5, very typical plan of the London system. Now the queen is sneaking here with a check. Exploiting the momentum. The king has to be moved, and then we will take back the bishop, but the king can no longer castle. So we take here very well, and now this king is stuck in the middle of the board, so what we need to do is to complete the development. Knight d2, long castle. And then probably to open up the center. Probably e4 or c4. Also the knight could go on c3, try to get this pawn. Ooh. Ooh, this king is going on a fun journey. Subscribe so I will checkmate them really quick. This king is fun. Okay, so I think now the knight... I didn't mean to lose that pawn. Sorry, every pawn matters. Very important to remember that. Okay, I will go for long castle. I got a bit overconfident. That's something that typically happens when you're winning. It's also a lesson, you know? So now we protected the bishop with the rook. Still, this king is a very fun piece, but maybe they can play b6 and hide it behind. Losing material is never a good idea. I will give an in-between... Ah, no. I wanted to give an in-between check, but no, I was checked. I was under check. So we just have to take there. Now we could give an in-between check, and I like it because I think b6 and hiding the king is quite good. So we are stopping that, plus the knight is centralized, very powerful, and the move c4 starts to look shiny. If shiny is a thing that you can say to a move. I'm also calculating this sacrifice. After knight takes, they will just take with the queen. If I play c4, they take with the pawn, and I don't have a strong discovery check because the pawn is attacking my rook. So I will play just rook d1, and they're pushing this pawn. This is not good. Usually, once, if your king is in danger, you want to keep everything close as possible. Probably they're looking for some counterplay, but they are honestly just giving me counterplay. I wanted to take and just saying, okay, I'm happy to have everything open, but I might just go for e4. They're taking there. But now I take here without even thinking too much. Because file is open, king is there, we're gonna checkmate this king. Now we could play knight back, knight here, could even give a check there. We have also rook f3 that, ooh, rook f, ooh, 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 okay, sorry. Rook f3 is very good because we are attacking the queen, winning a tempo, and rook f7, or queen f7, or queen g4. Those moves are incredibly strong, especially queen f7 looks amazing. Okay, I understand this move. They want to trade the queens. I think I don't want to trade the queens. I don't just think that. I'm sure I don't want to trade the queens. So we have something very simple, which is queen check and take this pawn. Attack is still going on, and we took back material. We don't trade the queens. Let's go for it. Hook, we take this pawn. Now, very strong move. Simple, classy, amazing. Knight b5. Oh, but also this check is looking very interesting. And I will go for it because now the king has to come up again. And now the bishop is blocked one more time and my rook can advance, probably on f6. This looks juicy, tasty, crispy. So we're attacking the queen. The queen needs to move and keep this pawn protected, absolutely. Must be. So queen g7. But then we go with knight f5, attacking this pawn, the queen, this pawn, the king. Everything is collapsing. Okay, queen e8 is forgetting about this little pony, which we aptly capture. And now the king has to move probably on e8. And then we can finish the game with big style. With the move, queen g5. Silent move, threatening discovery check mate. And also threatening this pawn, which now we take. With check. The bishop needs to cover. And then we have this amazing check here. But do we have anything even better? Ooh, hell yeah. Rook f7 is time. Attacking the queen, attacking the bishop, threatening this. There is no check. All the checks are controlled. This by the queen, this by the pawn. Queen there. Okay, we have many good moves here, but there is a very stylish tactic. We could sacrifice the rook after king here, go on f7, the king has to hide. Probably go for some discovery checks, maybe knight b5 or knight e6. But to me, knight e6 seems stronger. If the queen takes, we just take here with the rook, the check, the king has to move, and then we do bim, boom, bam, checkmate. If the bishop takes, we can play just sweet. Queen g5, check. And the rook is also attacking the queen. They can move the king away, but now we take here. Boom. And they have to take with the king. Everything else loses a piece. And once they take with the king, what do we play? I think knight c5 is simple, classy. We give a check. The king has to move. If the king goes here, we take there, winning the rook, the queen, everything. And any other square, like d8, is followed by a fork or a check, winning the queen. The king went there. So we just give a check with the queen. The rook is looking on d6. Next move, we win the queen. And should be a GG, but they keep playing. So we'll find a checkmate, I guess. Okay. Check. Check. The king is hiding, excuse me. Okay, we don't have a checkmate. So I will go with the queen on d5. So I'm threatening discovery checks. Okay, now I have the tactic finish. I can just take here, giving a check, winning the rook. We take the rook. And check, winning also the other one. I thought they would resign, but they kept playing, so I had to clean up the board by taking all the pawns, promote another one, and a few moves later, they resigned. GG's. New game, we have a player over 1500 already. We play 1e4. Every time you can, 2 pawns in the middle of the board. This is the Owen defense. And there is pretty much one idea to remember, is that here you want to protect this pawn with the bishop first. Why? Because after the move c5, you might want to defend this pawn with the other pawn. Usually what they want to do is to come to pin you. So now we develop the other knight. If we would have protected it with this knight, now bishop b4 could be annoying. Instead here, we just take care of the king side first, castling, and then we will develop the queen side as well. So I will play queen e2, and I have a clear idea in mind. I want to push e5. And now we go. The knight has to go here, c4. And you see I'm taking all the space. And now bishop e4. I want to trade this bishop. If they take, I'm taking here. This knight is almost trapped. This rook is almost lost. And if they just go with the knight on c6, well, then a3. And here I can just go d5. Now I'm just, you know, I didn't have a way to explain, but in the Italian way, we can explain very well. I'm just compressing my opponent. They have to take probably, or they have to go back with the knight. But where is the knight actually going back? Maybe here on a5, but then they cannot move any piece. They cannot move this knight, they cannot move this knight. They could castle, but good luck with that. I would just bring out everything. The knight, yeah, there we go. Knight here probably. And if I can play this move, I win a piece. Oh wait, sorry. I missed the tactic blow. that would be just this east d6 winning, because the rook is hanging and the knight is hanging. Sorry, the bishop is hanging. Only thing I need to take care of is my queen not being trapped. So actually maybe not the right move. Okay, knight a6. Great developing move. They want to come here. So let's play queen g4, saying hello to this pawn. g5 is a bold decision, because now the king is stuck in the middle of the board for a very long time. So I will play rook d1. What I want to do is to take this pawn. So they cannot take with the d pawn, they have to take with the f pawn, and then boom, I start to exploit the weakness of the king. Okay, so they are taking, it makes sense, but now this gives me even more space, even more flexibility. I can try to play the move e6, opening up everything, and we do it because the rook is protected by the knight. So after pawn takes, I'm attacking the queen and attacking this pawn. And if they take with this pawn, well, I'm very happy just that I can give a discovery check. Sorry, in between check. Now I'm looking at the queen, saying hello there. Okay, we can win a pawn with check. The king will hide behind it. Or not. So we go forward with the knight. I thought hiding would have been a bit safer. Now you really risk to get checkmated. By the way, we have also a fork available, but I think I see mate. So I give this check. I'm sacrificing this piece, but I see it. That piece is untouchable. So probably queen here is the only defense, because if the king goes back, it's also checkmate. And now, bam. Boom. And checkmate. You know that fear before leaving the piece? Yeah, GG's. 1d4, this might be the last game. If we win this, we cross 1500 ELO. Please don't forget to subscribe, it helps the channel a lot. 1d4, how to play against 1d4. Okay, I played the move knight f6, which is a very possible move. Basically, I'm going to play the Nimzo Indian. The idea of this opening is, as always, to fight for the center. How am I fighting for the center? In an indirect way for now. Because basically, I need to stop the move e4. I cannot give all this center to white, so I play bishop b4. I'm pinning this knight. So now e4 is just a free pawn for me, so please go ahead. That's the idea of the Nimzo Indian. Then black is going on with moves like castle, d5, c5. The question usually in 1d4, all the 1d4 setups, is how to develop the queen side. And this is what we need to see. Now bishop d2. The idea is simple. What I want to do is to play the move e4. But right now I can simply castle. If the move e4 is played, I can take first here, bishop takes, and then I take the pawn. So again, they are not really threatening to take control over the center. I'll go for the move d5, avoiding 1d4, 1 forever, and also putting my pawn on the center. Now they have usually two ways to play. And one is to trade off the pieces on the center of the board, and the other is to keep the tension, so to keep going with e3, bishop d3. In this case, I have a clear way to develop all my pieces. This bishop is already shining on f5, also blocking the bishop from going on d3, which is the best square for them. How to develop this knight, sorry. So usually there is a semi-open file here, so a very typical move is to play c3, also because we want to go back with this bishop here at some point, attack on the king side. So c6 is a move that we are going to play. This knight still doesn't have a place in the board, but we will give a place very soon. I'm still waiting. I want to bring this rook to the party because I need to decide. I have two possible paths. One is to go on e6. I will go back with this bishop. And one is to go on d7. And the question is, where am I going next? So do I want to go maybe on c7 and e6? Or do I prefer to go maybe on d7, f8, g6? Because both d7 and a6 are not the final squares for this knight. In this case, why are they playing this move? We could just play h6 and send them back. And I think we will just do this. Goodbye, knight. It has been fun. And now we go with the knight here, also controlling this square, which could be a weakness. How is the middle game in this position? Black is attacking on the king side, white is attacking on the queen side. So white is playing two slow moves here, moving this knight back and forward, not really knowing the right plan. B4, try to play for b5 is the right way to go, because the idea is that if we take, this pawn will be weak forever. All these moves are not ideal. We need to approach the king. So one way could be to sneak this knight like this, and I love it. Exploiting all the weak squares that has been created now. Okay, this is making the knight run almost out of squares. Okay, I will go towards g5 with knight. Why not? This is a long fight, but there is one other idea that white can play for, and is the move e4. If they can have two central pawns, that could be very powerful. But right now seems like really tough for them to push that pawn. Wait, isn't just free cheese macaroni? Two defenders, three attackers. If I take, this cannot be pushed, so I will just take here. Also, this one is hanging. So now I actually need to think which one do I take first. And I take first this one, because this one is still weak, and I'm attacking it. And opening up this diagonal is very beneficial for me. I'm also threatening to just trade off pieces, which is good if you have one extra pawn, soon to be two extra pawns. And very important to notice that there is no discovery attack or something, because it's true that this knight is momently, right now is not protected, so the queen could attack, but after, for example, the bishop take h6, we can take here intermezzo and then take back the piece safely. All right, they are going for the sacrifice, but here I'm just taking this bishop intermezzo, and then I will be able to safely capture back. Very important to look always for counter-attack. This knight is protected. There is not really an attack going on. Very important to keep this knight here, though, because you don't want the queen to sneak in, maybe the knight to come in and create problems. Okay, we can trade. Happy to do so. And now, ooh, I love my bishop, stopping the pawn, protecting the knight, letting the queen come to d4 if possible. Now we can't, so probably queen b6 is a great move. Just giving a check, and probably we might either go on d8, trying to trade off even more pieces, but we might be left with some hanging pieces. Okay, piano piano. Let's go with rook here, protecting this knight one more time. Anyway, this knight cannot be moved because we just take here. How do they improve the position? Like this. They're attacking this pawn, so we just go with the king safely here, protecting it. Don't forget to always stay alert, because they always will try to trick you. If we take here, attention, there is this check. I think there is a move that could be very safe, which is queen takes. But after queen takes, bishop takes, knight f4. I have my rook under attack and I need to move, protect this knight, but it's protected by the bishop, so I could simply take. Okay, do I have anything better than trading the queens? I'd say yes. I will just bring the rook here even more, and maybe I want even to bring the rook on e7 to have this pawn protected, and then this pawn will be hanging. Now I'm trading. Now I'm trading is a great moment to trade. If they take it with the queen, I could take here, a free pawn. I can also take here, attacking the queen. This is great. Very important that we are attacking the queen with the rook. The queen needs to move. The queen cannot go there. The queen cannot take. The queen has to go back, and then the rook is sneaking in. Very good. Now, attention to this knight, huh? So we take here with check, protecting also the knight. And so now we have at least a way to defend the knight. And we do that because I don't want to let this pawn be taken. I was calculating rook e2 because it's threatening mate, but after rook takes, then the king gets an escape square. This is not good because I just take with the queen, no? If I would take with the rook, I would lose this rook, but I just can take with the queen and now I have an extra rook. Okay, they move the queen away. Now we can go for the final finish. We give a check, then we give a check. The king has to go there. We can trade off the queens and comfortably win this. Oh! I thought I could give mate. But that's kind of beautiful. I'll give this check first. If the rook is taking, I win the queen, so I will win faster. And if the king goes up, boom. And now the king has no squares. The queen has to be sacrificed. And it will be mate in 2 more moves. GG's. Small news before leaving from New Year, I'm taking 1 or 2 new students. So if you're interested, you can fill the form in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, go check out this one. It's a simple and powerful system to crush 1d4 with the black pieces. Merry Christmas, everyone, and see you next time.